Oh, should I say yes? Because
You should.
I feel like I should, but it's definitely Mordak and then Neb. Just because I want to play Mordak.
Mine is Neb, because I want to play Neb.
Yeah. Neb's my second. Neb's a good choice. Oh, we actually auditioned together.
We had the same audition
We
time.
had the same audition time.
I met him at auditions.
Yes, it was wild. She was phenomenal. Everyone really in our audition group was phenomenal.
You were so good.
And it was just, it was a joy. It wasn't a stressful audition process. It was just fun. When I got the callback sheet, I was actually in the middle of mowing my lawn, and it remained half finished because I got that callback sheet and went inside and started working on stuff for callbacks. So someone else had to finish mowing the lawn that day, but. The cast list came out, and I mean, I almost passed out. It was not something I was expecting in a million years.
I could have called it from auditions.
It's very, very nice of you, but no way in a million years did I ever think I'd be in this position. Just to work next to all these amazing co-stars, the film crew, amazing director Alice, and all that.
Yeah, it was just such a fun experience. I had been looking forward to auditioning ever since Patmos, when Alice was like, you need to audition for Between Two Worlds. And I was like, okay. Went to auditions, went right before him, and then callbacks. It was just such a blast. I felt like we had chemistry, like literally from the moment we...
No, I was wearing my Sesame Street shirt for callbacks. It's my
his
lucky
callback
shirt. So I had my everything I learned on the streets, Sesame Street. It's my callback shirt, and I love it.
I kind of could tell that he was gonna be Daniel from callbacks, and I felt like we just always had good chemistry from callbacks.
No, from the first cold read we did at callbacks and stuff. No, I felt, like I said, I was still very shocked, but it felt very natural acting with you from the start.
Yeah, so I was texting Justin after callbacks for probably 3 or 4 days, and he would just text me and be like, sing this in another key. So I was like, okay, and I'm going to school at this time. And so I'm literally doing it in my study hall period. And I'm like, sorry guys, you get to hear me sing. Too bad for them. So I was doing it in my study hall period, practicing. One night, I'm literally headed to an acting rehearsal. I'm leaving in 5 minutes. He called me and he was like, hey, I don't wanna give anything away, but we really need you to sing this for the final time in this key. The orchestra is coming in tomorrow and we need it to be perfect for you. And I remember hearing those words, for you, and I was like, okay, because I didn't want to assume that it was my part, but at the same time I was like, oh my gosh. So I texted my director or my acting coach or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna be late and I'll tell you the story when I get there. And then I recorded it really, really fast and then went to my acting lesson, and the rest is history.
One thing I admire from my character, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but Daniel's strong faith. He's always just had, throughout his entire life, has just had things taken from him, into captivity, all this stuff, serving under Queen Nebuchadnezzar, and just all these difficult things that happened to him in his life, and he never lost his faith with God. He just stayed so strong and always went back to God when he was faced with these difficult decisions, and went into prayer for answers, and especially going in and reading through Daniel in preparation for this role was something that I thought about a lot, especially his prayer life and incorporating that more into my life. So I made it a habit before we filmed any scene to take 30 seconds and just pray for the scene, pray for strength for all the actors and stuff. And yeah, I just learned a lot about faith and the power of prayer.
One thing I admire a lot about Lydia is she has such big dreams, and she's not afraid to say them out loud. One thing about me is I have really big desires for my future and everything, but I've just kind of just kept them there and not really verbalize them, because I don't want to, I don't want anything to go wrong, and that's just is a big fear of mine of verbalizing them, and then people know what I hope for. But one thing I really admire about Lydia is she's I'm gonna have a husband and kids, and I'm so excited to live my future, and just teach all of my children about God, and just show them my faith. And that was just really, really cool to get to play someone that I want to be. And so it was really, really cool.
My favorite song, that's a difficult one. Vocal-wise, vocal ability, Welcome to Babylon is amazing. It's just such a great introduction into the setting of the second act. And it's beautiful the way it is sung, and the choreography by Havila is fantastic in that. But 1100 Miles is my favorite song. The lyrics and the emotions Daniel goes through that song is amazing. He starts off that song and he is just kind of thinking about his life and all that he's lost and the position he's in now, in Babylon, serving under the queen, and is just, going through all these things. And by the conclusion of the song, he's looking back to God, and he is saying, I've gone through all this stuff, I've dealt with all this, I've stayed true to you, and I'm going to continue to do what you tell me and continue to follow your word and continue to praise you, even though I've gone through all this stuff. And Jon Rizzo wrote some amazing lyrics for that song that just really express everything that's going on in Daniel's mind. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. My favorite song in the show is Love Will Grow. And I think, like I said earlier, it's like Lydia's just dreaming with her best friend. So it's really, really fun to sing that song alongside Josie, and we just have so much fun together on stage, dancing, and it just feels like my best friend. And I'm just sharing my hopes and dreams and what I feel like God has put on my heart, for my future. And so it's really, really fun because I relate to the song a lot. And so it's just fun to sing something that you feel very connected to. I think the hardest part about doing film over theater, I've been in theater for so long, but, and so that's very different from stage and everything. And so being in film, it's a lot more precise, I guess.
Yes.
I feel like on the stage you're always overacting because there's people so far back and you have to really just you're so big, and all of your character stuff is just way overacted. But on film, it's really cool to just be so honest and vulnerable. I feel like it just feels a lot more real and almost more connected to a character because you're just there in the moment, and you don't have to overact and make it look like you're sad, make it look like you're happy. You just are happy or you are sad. And so that was really, really cool, just getting to be really honest.
Yeah, the film world is so much different than being on a stage. Continuity sucks. It is just the worst. There are scenes where I have to be putting on an item of clothing, and I hated this so much, but I would start buckling this vest thing, and then they would say cut, and we would redo the take, and Alice would be like, all right, where did you leave off in your buttons? And I'm like, I have no clue. What do you mean, where did I leave off?
Where I did.
I'm I was in the middle of saying a line, so I'm we'll play it back. All right, which way is the satchel facing? But the greatest thing about the film world and is just it's not one take. You have there's different angles, different takes, and it's as you were saying, it's so up close and you can be so vulnerable. Every slight shift is caught on camera, so you really just have, as an actor, to be to not overact, to just be true to the character. And the slightest thing, if my emotions shift in this scene, it's just a slight maybe I'm smiling and it's just a slight shift, a tone down, and that all gets caught on camera and is able to just progress the emotions of a character so much more than you could ever see on a stage. The first act, especially, of this film focuses a lot on Daniel and Lydia's relationship together, and it was very, very interesting to do it. It was very fun working alongside Isabelle for this. We refused to let it be awkward. There was a lot of takes where we're this, close to each other, but similar as I did with Jewel, who's playing Queen Nebuchadnezzar, just made sure we were both comfortable with the scene and did it. And in Daniel's life, this relationship that he has with Lydia is really, it's a big thing in his life. And ultimately, the way that the show is written, it brings him to the Lord. The way that everything is set up, his relationship with his father and with Lydia, it's all to just drive him closer to his relationship with God.
Yeah, what am I supposed to talk about?
I think we're good.
Yeah, he nailed it on the head. Okay.
I'm so good at this. Sorry.
So good. So good.
Sorry. I don't know. I'm the scholar. This is what I feel like. Supercilious. Here we go.
Can we like stage a fight? Like act like we actually hated each other this entire process?
That was rolling.
She did that a lot actually during take. She would roll her eyes at me. She actually verbally abused me constantly on set after take, saying I'm awful, worthless.
I really just can't stand him, and acting in love with him for so many hours is just exhausting, and it was really, really hard to stay so professional the entire time.
I had to propose to this, all right? You think crying on stage is hard? Try proposing to this person.
Now it's my turn. He really just tried to. Okay.
Another thing. No.
That was so good.
I love this.
I'm laughing the whole time.